He's the vocalist and guitarist for this UK death metal band that has been releasing music since 2009. They're on tour now after releasing their latest album, Denigration, and you may know them from their song Invidious. Sean from Ingested, welcome to the podcast.
Hey man, it's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, pleasure to have you on. Thank you for doing this. I know you have a show tonight in Berkeley and you're on the
Yeah.
road and clearly sitting outside to do this podcast, which I appreciate so much. But first thing I want to get into is just the band. I mentioned like UK death metal band, but if someone's listening who hasn't heard Ingested before, how would you kind of describe the music that you guys make?
Well, it's kind of evolved over the years. I mean, originally back in 2006, we had more of a brutal death metal tinge to us, and then slam, and then deathcore, and I don't know. We've kind of gone through a lot of genres, I guess, if people want to be very specific. But one that landed in a review that I read a few years ago said modern death metal. Now, don't know exactly what that means, but I like that term, so I'm just going to say modern death metal.
Yeah. I mean, all of the genres kind of blend into each other at some point, especially the sub ones. So like, you say something and it could be another thing. It works for whatever. And at some point, whatever feels right is like the genre that you should call yourself. So modern death metal. I like it. The album that you guys are on tour with now, really like pushing Denigration. Just take me into the process of making that. What was, if there was a genre you guys were going for, or like the sound, kind of coming up with like the soundscape that you guys want to create for this album?
Well, it was the first album back with quite an extensively new lineup because for the past, I'd say 4 or 5 years, it was just three of us. It was me, Lynn, and Jay. But Jay left, and then with a new vocalist, we tried to get a full five piece back together. We hadn't been a five piece since 2019, so we had a brand new lineup come in. So this album was more about kind of just going back to our roots a little bit and just doing what we do best. Hard, heavy, groovy tunes live, and that's kind of what we had as an idea to go in with that. Obviously, you had another vocalist having to go from the band, and then me and Andrew took over vocals for the album. So it's been a bit of a crazy process, crazy couple of years. But thankfully, the intent that we had to do with Denigration was to release just a heavy album. I think we've succeeded with that, and it's a body of work
Yeah.
that we're proud of. Especially me and Andrew having to step up last minute to get the album over the line by doing the vocals. We're between the four of us, we're really proud of it.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. So in the studio, like you said, you and Andrew both do vocals, you both do some guitar parts on the album. How did you kind of go about like, oh, I'll do these vocals, you do those, or I'll do this guitar, you do that? Like how do you kind of split up the workload?
Okay, well, musically, I think Drew's got three songs and I've got the rest. I don't know. It's just what I did is make the album, and also we coming to mind that the sequence has got to make sense, and we like the album to go in a certain trajectory. Softer
Mhm.
bits, melodic bits, heavy bits. So we kind of just built it that way, and ultimately that's what happened. It was 10 tracks of a mix of what we'd both wrote. Obviously, we've all had like a hand in each other's work, and had opinions on it and stuff, but. With the vocal thing, we only had like 6 days to track the vocals because obviously
Oh,
the
wow.
vocals before had tracked the album,
Yeah.
but we had to record it immediately. So all I did with that was I went through what a previous vocalist had done style wise, and I just matched what both me and Andrew do best. And I said, this would fit for me, this would fit for you, blah blah blah, and we just kind of did it that way. And I managed to get that done in a few hours, and then he went off and did his bits. And then he kind of changed certain things that obviously didn't work well when he was doing it, and vice versa. But ultimately, I think the product speaks for itself, and I think you get a good mix of both mine and Andrew's attributes.
Yeah, yeah. That's a crazy like rush to the finish line you were saying with the vocals and getting it done in 6 days. But
Yeah.
for like the full songs as a whole and like instrumental as well, was there any song on this album that just came together really quickly? You guys wrote it quickly and knocked it out?
I think the one that probably didn't have much changes was probably Merciless Reflection, which was the
Mhm.
debut single. I wrote that in the
Yeah.
morning, just a bit pissed off in the morning, as I ended up writing that song. Lyrically, it was done by the previous vocalist, and I worked on it and helped it, finalize. But musically, it was written within the morning. There was very minor changes that our drummer Lynn had put in there, just chop a little bit here, add this little bit here.
Mm.
But ultimately, it was 90% done within a morning. Yeah,
Yeah,
sometimes it
you
works
you
out that
touch
way,
it up, but like the skeleton's there in most of the idea. Cool. And then on the flip side, was there any song that did go through a lot of changes, or you guys kept coming
Yeah,
back to things like that?
yeah. The opener dragged apart. It was a song I
Mm.
had lying around for many years, like maybe like 5 or 6 years. And we just go through the archives, and me and Lynn heard potential in the song, so we tried to work on it. It became most of the 4 minute structure there is pretty much intact, minus a few things, a few slight changes, but we couldn't finalize the ending. The ending kind of went on a little bit too far. I think there was probably 3 or 4 iterations of that song before we finally decided on the one that made the album. So yeah, I'd say Dragged Apart was when I
Uh,
went through the most kind of rigorous changes, I suppose.
yeah, the most changes. Cool. And yeah, and then also like beyond you guys in the band, you bring in a number of collaborators for
Yeah.
the album. How did those come about? Was it a similar thing of you're like, I think this person would sound good on this, or how did the all these collaborations happen?
Pretty well. They're just our friends on the road.
Hmm.
Obviously, for me, the main goal was to get John Gallagher. He plays in my favorite death metal band of all time, and he's got some of the most iconic vocals. So, I mean, John's been on the hit list for quite a few years, but we managed to make it work this time round. So, thank God that worked. And
Finally.
yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. I mean, I asked Kyle to do the album a while ago because I think Kyle's voice is amazing. He's one of the best in the game. He doesn't get talked nearly enough from Body Snatcher, man. Just really good range, good aggression. So I wanted Kyle on it. I originally wanted Kyle on Dragged Apart at the end of it, but just the timeline was working out, I wasn't sure if he's going to get over the line. So we got Skylar in instead to do Dragged Apart because obviously we wanted a different flavour. And Skylar was perfect for the
Yeah.
job anyway. So Skylar worked out amazing. And then last minute, Kyle came through. Said, "Oh, I could do a track." I was like, "All right." Found him. Dredge the Dark instead. So, you know, I could hear him in that part anyway. So it worked
Yeah.
out great for us. We'd also just come off tour with Peel and Flesh. And, when I wrote Mercer's Reflection, I was like, this is a very slammy tune. I think D would work perfect. And obviously D was down. So, yeah, I mean, it's pretty smooth. Once your boys on tour and stuff, it's quite easy to get them normally. So, yeah, it's been easy.
Yeah, that's great. And even, when another vocalist comes in, you found a different place for Kyle, and it all worked out, which is
Yep.
awesome. And then so you're getting these songs done, bringing in collaborators, tracking the vocals. At what point in the album process did you come up with the cover art and kind of craft like the visual aesthetic for this album?
Yeah, we had the title done, obviously Denigration, and all the lyrics done by the time I hit the studio. I think we got Janice to start doing it before we hit the studio, but I remember getting work through while we were actually recording. So
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, I think we'd set that up a little earlier. We gave him quite enough time where he could start coming with ideas. But yeah, I mean, Janice just, this time we didn't, well, same as the last few, really. Like, there used to be a time when we'd be really specific about the direction of the album covers, and we just have just very specific ideas and how it should be done. Whereas like nowadays, I just you hire the artist for their vision and their talent. And so especially that happened with Janice. We just said, here's the album title, here's some of the music, here's the lyrics, and he came up with that pretty much. And very minor changes. Obviously, there was a color palette discussion. There was a lot of color palette to choose from. We went up with the one we
Hmm.
ended up with. And the only changes that came was all the kind of bodies on the side on the skeletons, because originally it was just a complete, like almost like a cave piece. So we needed some sort of focal
Oh,
point. So we pulled
yeah.
them in. That was the only change really. So yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, it's very cool. I was talking to I think it was Knights of Malice who I had on here talking about their cover art. And it was they talked about bringing in an artist to almost do a collaboration in that sense of like they brought kind of an idea or like a skeleton of it, and then the artist kind of built it out from there, added to it, and made the final cover art that they used on the album. And so
Yeah.
it's awesome that you guys had a similar experience. Are you a music artist looking to get your songs on Spotify, Apple Music, and basically every other streaming platform? then you should check out DistroKid. DistroKid is a music distribution service. It's what I use to get all my music out across platforms, and I find it really helpful. You can manage your songs, lyrics, credits, and even manage releases across artists under one account. I don't think I would have gotten started as early as I did with music if it weren't for DistroKid. So if you want to get started, I'll put their pricing on the screen here. And yes, that does say the cheapest plan is at $2 a month. I know some of you spend more than that every day on your coffees. Like, this is to get your music heard by the world. But we're getting off track. DistroKid has so many additional features like pre-save pages, getting your music onto platforms like Instagram and TikTok, where people can put your music on their posts. If you use my link in the description, you will get 7% off any of these plans, making it even cheaper to get your career started, and so much more. So again, check out my link in the description for 7% off any plan. And now let's get back to the episode. The album itself available in like a bunch of physical form, CD, bunch of vinyl variants. What was that physical media process like? And do you have a favorite variant that it's available in?
Well, I'm going to be biased and say I like we got like a pink splatter vinyl on our actual web store, ingested.co.uk, which I send out personally, and there's only 300 of them, and for me they're the best one, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a sucker for CDs still, man. I spent many years collecting CDs, but I get the most satisfaction actually looking at the art on a vinyl, obviously, because it's so blown up and big and detailed and stuff. So yeah, I mean, I still endorse the physical media aspect of things. I mean, I still collect Blu-rays and all sorts of stuff. So yeah, there's nothing better than holding your work in your hands.
Yeah, that's awesome. I just bought a Blu-ray DVD for like the first time in years, and it's awesome. I put it in, played it. It has all the bonus features and everything, and so cool. And it's awesome that you're shipping out some of the vinyl yourself. So if you're listening to this, go get the pink vinyl, and you'll get it direct from Sean.
Yeah.
But yeah, now, like I mentioned, you're on the last couple dates for the Chaos and Carnage tour. But then later on in the summer, you also have another tour, the Canadian Heritage Tour. How have these shows been with Chaos and Carnage? And then what are you looking forward to with the Canada tour?
Yeah, it's been fun, man. It's always cool to get the opportunity to do a tour of this scale. It's a bigger market, it's a bigger sort of deal. So it's been a couple of years since we've done a tour of this scale. So it's been fun. It's been great to get in big rooms again. Great to tour with a load of friends. I mean, I've toured with Carnifex. First time I toured with Carnifex was 16 years ago. We took Body Snatcher out in 2018. So, we just come off Europe with Body Snatcher as well. So it's just having your mates around, it's cool. I know a lot of the crew, a lot of the sound people. So yeah, man, it's been fun.
Awesome. Yeah. And going a bit back to like the band as a whole and when it kind of formed, what are like the origins of the name Ingested and how did that become the band name?
Yeah, we wanted a one-word title and a lot of the cool one-word titles were taken. So it was hard to find anything really. But a big sort of inspiration for the band's early origins was a band called Devourment from Texas, like a legendary slam band. And I saw the word ingested and I was like, that's kind of close to devourment, ingested. I was like, that works. And I went, boys, what about ingested? They went, yeah, that works. And that was it.
Awesome. Yeah. You get to the point where you find a word you like, and if it's taken, you go to like synonyms of it, and you're like, okay, what other words can I use that mean the same thing? Yeah, that's awesome. And I mentioned, I know it's not from this album, but Invidious like kind of took off as one of your guys' bigger songs. Take me into not only making that song, but like the response it's gotten and how what that's meant for you guys.
Yeah, it's one of our most popular ones these days. I remember writing it. The intro riff, the main riff at the start, and the closer was a riff that our old guitarist Sam had wrote. And I tried to find a way to keep that tempo through the whole song, but you just can't do it, man. It loses its kind of I don't know, it's important. So I kind of switched the tempo. Yeah. I switched the whole tempo in the middle. I made a complete song that way and then came back to that riff because it was one thing. If you ever listen to Dying Fetus, they did a song called From Womb to Waist, and it's got one of the most crushing opening riffs of all time, and they don't bring it back. So when I realised Sam had wrote such a good opening riff, I was like, well, I'll come back to that. So yeah, it's kind of what I did with it, to be honest.
Awesome. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Dying Fetus is like obviously huge in the space. So it's great that you're finding inspiration from them and diving now a bit more into like you personally. Well, what was like, how did you start getting into music, developing a taste in music, anything like that?
My dad used to work on the radio in
Oh,
Manchester, quite a
cool.
big radio station. So it just music was always turning up at his house, like promos, early releases and stuff. And I just kind of
Yeah.
buried myself in his stereo. He had a massive old school stereo, tape deck, vinyl deck, CD deck, amplifier deck. It was huge. So I just used to sit in front of that and just play loads of random stuff, man. But yeah, the first kind of band that really caught my interest was a band called The Prodigy. It's like a dance act from the UK. I don't know if they've got much exposure over in the States, but they're massive in Europe and they're quite an important band. And yeah, just from there, I mean, another few releases I remember like spinning was a record called, I can't remember the album's called, but the band's called Misery Loves Co. And it's got like a guy with a barbed wire around his head. I remember listening to that a little bit. Um, and then I remember playing White Zombie, which was Rob Zombie's band before he went solo, which was an album called Astro Critic 2000. I think came out in 95. And that's when guitar music really started to kind of like pique my interest. And then I also got a Kerrang CD, like a compilation CD that had Biohazard, Machine Head, uh, Body Count, and countless other bands. So yeah, I think mid-90s is where I started listening to metal. Um, and it just kind of went from there, really.
Yeah, yeah. That's awesome that you had such a wide selection as a kid and
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
kind of getting like more vinyl and more music than anyone around you kind of or any of your friends probably. But that's so cool. And you mentioned starting to get into guitar, falling in love with these bands. At what point are you like, okay, this is what I want to do. I want to join a band, play music, things like that.
Probably watching the Pantera home videos and the Chimera documentary, seeing Slipknot live, that kind of, it's around the early 2000s where I was like, yeah, I really want to do this. And I picked up the bass first and I was pretty terrible for a long time. Um, yeah, I mean, I remember leaving high school, they make you sit down with a careers advice officer and just try and outline some sort of future plan for yourself, some goal to aim for. And I said I wanted to be in a band. And I remember him kind of like chuckling at it and going, well, I'm not sure how you're going to do that, but blah, blah, blah. Well, here I am, 25 years later. I
And
guess
not
it
only
worked out somehow.
yeah, I mean, not only like part of a band or in a band, but actively touring, coming out with a new album, crushing it,
Yeah,
doing what bands do. So it's awesome.
pretty crazy.
Um, so what it was music pretty early on then, or was there anything else that you were considering doing? Any other like interests, careers, things like that?
No, it was always being a band. Well, I wanted to be a skateboarder and a BMXer, but that's kind of any normal kid in it, really.
Yeah.
I wasn't as good as them. As soon as I started picking up the guitar, I gave up skating because I didn't want to mess my hands up. So I miss it every now and then.
Smart.
I see someone on a skateboard, I'm like, I wonder if I can still do anything. Like it's been like 20 years, but I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. But it's crazy that you had that foresight of being like, no, I know I want to do guitar. Skateboarding, I'm at risk of hurting my hands or like doing something
Yeah,
to my hands, so I'm not gonna do that for guitar. That's great, like foresight, and kind of also shows that you know what you want to do. And it's like, okay, clearly, if you're okay giving up this, but to do that, then that's what you want to do more and what you're more passionate about.
yeah.
Um, yeah, yeah. And so, do you have for Ingested? You know, you join the band or start the band, get these songs out. Is there any over the years? Has there been any more like deep cut, lesser known song that you think is great? Anything like more people should hear?
Well, yeah. There's the closer to When Only God's Made Tread is like a 9-minute epic that took me ages to write called Leap of the Faithless. That's got pretty much fuck all plays on Spotify, and it's like come on, put everything into that song, and no one really knows about it. So if anyone wants to check some out that I'm musically very proud of, I would go down that route and check that song out. But yeah, there's a ton of songs like I think that's just the nature of the only way you can gather, what's being played, what's being listened to is look at Spotify numbers, unfortunately. And obviously, we're in a
Yeah,
different kind of climate where people don't listen to full albums. They pick pieces out and just go for that. Whereas I'm a bit older, obviously, so I appreciate the full work in its full front to back form. And obviously, by the
yeah,
time you get towards the end of any album that we stream, the numbers drop off because people aren't giving the back end that enough time. But
yeah.
there's a lot of gold at the back end of the album sometimes, and you should really stick with them. If you're ever going to check out a discography, just listen to the whole album. Do you know what I
Absolutely.
mean?
Yeah, I
A
still
lot, a
listen
lot of
to.
bands, save some of their greatest stuff to the end because they want to finish it with a bang. But I don't know. It's just me.
Yeah, yeah. No, I'll still listen to full albums when I can. I think certain like I think with any artist or any band, track listing an album, there is a certain weight to like the opening track and the closing track. Like you want to do something special with those. So there are plenty of like last song tracks that I've heard that just are bangers and like
Yeah, yeah.
crush it and are some of my favorite songs by artists. Um, but yeah, I was gonna say something. Oh yeah, with just like listening through the album, the unfortunately the other thing is just holding attention that long and like, you can even if it's like your favorite band, you're so excited by the time you're
Yeah,
like
yeah.
halfway done, 30 minutes into an album, you're kind of like, all right, let's finish the rest of these songs and move on. It's not the same excitement as like first hitting play or dropping the needle on a new album.
I think that's the case though, because everyone's got everything so there to grab and take and listen.
Accessible, yeah.
It's just too much, man. So when I bought an album, it'd take me a couple of weeks to save up, so I'd fucking listen to that thing over and
Yeah.
over again. Whereas nowadays, everyone's just got everything they want at the palm of their hands, and it's a bit sad to be honest because it takes that attention span away. Everyone needs that quick fix, quick short fix. And now, even as artists in the game, us now we're looking to like make our albums shorter and songs shorter because we know that the attention span's not there, which is it's a little bit disappointing, but you've got to evolve, I guess, and you've got to go with the times. And unfortunately, people below the age of 30 can't listen to anything more than 10 seconds. So they need TikTok viral videos to fucking smash them in the face and then move on to the next thing. But let's not go down that route, shall we?
Yeah, yeah. And I think you can still make what you want to make, be authentic to you, and there will be an
Yeah.
audience for it. Like the people who want to listen will be there, and that's great. You bring up a good point. There was someone I was listening to on a podcast brought up a similar point of like when they were a kid, they'd save up money, go to the record store and buy a vinyl and essentially get like a vinyl a month. And you have like
Yeah.
you really think about it, you make a choice. And whether it's your favorite album or like kind of sucks, well, you're stuck with it for
Yeah.
that month. So you better
That's
listen
it.
to it. Get your money's worth out of
Exactly.
it.
Exactly. I bought plenty of albums over the years where I was like, this kind of sucks. And then I go, well, I've bought it now. And I'll just force myself to listen to it over and over again. I was like, all right, okay, there's something in it that I like. But yeah, long gone are those days, unfortunately.
Yeah. Hey, heroes. Sorry to interrupt that podcast episode, which I hope you are enjoying, but I wanted to tell you about my clothing line, Quest Clothing. Ever since I started really pursuing YouTube and music and all these creative things that I do, I've dreamed about starting this clothing line specifically. I had the name, I had the idea like for years before I started it, and now it's finally here. You can wear clothes like this. I have sweatshirts available, t-shirts, even clothing for like my music with cover arts and lyrics and things like that. It's all super, super cool. And right now is the best way for you guys to support me across everything I do. So be sure to check out the Quest Clothing web store with the link in the description and follow at Shop Quest Clothing on Instagram for updates about collections, discounts, things like that. Anyways, I don't want this self-sponsorship to take too long, so let's get back to the episode. To get into live stuff now, we can keep revolving around these tours, but like joining Ingested or starting Ingested, what was the first live show as a band, like when Ingested hit the road?
We did a bunch of one-offs first,
Mm-hmm.
just random stuff over the country. I think our first show it was Wales our second show. I think we did Newcastle or Sunderland as our first show, and it was pretty nervous. Um, yeah, we didn't do much, man. I mean, our first tour didn't come until 2008, I want to say. And we went on tour with Annotation and Autopsy for like, I don't know, 8, 9 days in the UK. And we toured in a Ford Fiesta. So that was cool.
Yeah.
But
Do you
yeah, that was
you mentioned like having some nerves before that first show. Are you still nervous now, or at what point or how long did it take for you to start getting comfortable on stage?
yeah, I've got way better with it over the years. Definitely for the first like 10 years of the band, I was nervous all the time. But once you
Mm.
end up doing 100 to 150 shows a year, you just a lot of that kind of disappears. You just kind of get on with it, get on with the job and stuff.
It's
So
another day at the office.
unfortunately, it can be that way, especially when you get to my age when the business aspects of the band has kicked in.
Mhm.
It is a job, and I know people might be disappointed in hearing that from an artist, but it's my job and it's my business, and I've got to keep it going. So there's many things I do on the road that I don't want to do that I've got to do. But don't get me wrong, the passion still creeps through. There'll be the odd occasion when the crowd's responding to the bits of music that they should be correctly. And it was
Mhm.
a real good case of this on this tour at the Worcester Palladium, where they responded to each bit that I think in my head should be moshed or two stepped or crowd. They did it perfectly. And I was like, okay, this is exactly what it is. And, the days like that make it all so much worthwhile, man. But yeah, no, I still get nervous. I'd say if we're doing, festival shows when there's like, 6,000 people in front of you, you go, oof, all right, well, butterflies are in there. But yeah, definitely got better over the years, but it still happens every now and then.
Oh yeah, I'm sure, but I'm glad to hear that you still have these great shows. And that was actually basically going to be my next question: of do you have any show that's like been your favorite? Everything went well, like or just like sticks in your mind, meant something special to you.
Well, yeah, the Worcester Palladium show was a standout for me.
Mm-hmm.
There's been a few other good ones on this tour, but yeah, Worcester Palladium for sure. I mean, I think it's in their bread and butter up there to just go insane because of New
Yeah.
England metal and hardcore festivals. You've got that DNA up there, but yeah, man, I have to say that because that's what's sticking out in my head at the moment.
Well, they're bringing the energy, and it's like you said, at the right times. So they
Yeah,
they really get it. They get the music. They know in this kind of like in indirect back and forth. They know when to give
yeah,
energy and when
exactly.
to calm it down. Yeah, and then I mean, going off of that, is there a bucket list of venues, festivals that you want to play one day?
Yeah, we've never done Wacken in Germany for some
Mm.
bizarre reason. I don't know how that's not happened in the 20 years we've been a band, but whatever.
We
Hopefully,
got
we
to
get we
fix
get to
that.
the
We got to the next time they're around or booking it.
God
Get
knows,
Ingested
man.
on there.
Insane that we've not done that festival. Venues. Red Rocks would be cool, but pissing in the wind with that one, unless you get some mad Cannibal Corpse tour, which probably won't happen. But yeah,
Right?
there's all sorts
You
of
never
places I
know.
want to play, but reality's got to be the hammer that, that crushes those dreams. So here's what it is. I want to do
Yeah.
Japan. Japan's possible. I've still not done it. Every time we end up having a chance to do it, COVID kicks in, or there's a visa problem, or it's just every time we set it up, it just falls apart. So Japan is on the bucket list. Let's do that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I hope that's next or soon for you guys. I mean, I
Yeah.
want to go to Japan just in general, like to travel, but I'm like if there was anything musical to go for, that'd be even better. And so I'm sure that'd be a great experience for you guys to go play
Yeah.
Japan. Were you saying that were you going to go right around the time that COVID happened and got shut down? Is that why you brought it up? Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So
We were supposed to tour with Nile in Australia. And I think we were doing Japan on our own, but it was a part of that whole
mhm.
touring process. Yeah, and obviously COVID destroyed that, which was nice. Love
Wow.
that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, what was that like for you to be like? I mean, you're getting to go to Japan and getting like having this big tour, and then COVID kind of just shuts everything down. Like, what was your headspace like at that point?
I mean, COVID shut everything down. That wasn't
Yeah.
even obviously that tour getting cancelled was pretty devastating. But I was on tour at the time when COVID kicked in. We had to drop off a tour, and then my dad passed away while on tour while
Oh
COVID
wow.
was it was chaos. And then 2 months later, I had twin boys. It was like, and then I had to beg to get my job back because I'd quit my job to do the full time touring. It was just chaos for like 18 months. I was like, what is going on? What Matrix moment is kicking in here? Like, can I take one of the pills that wakes me up? Yeah, it was
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, just what it feels like whatever can go wrong is going wrong and
Yeah,
just
it
everything.
went pretty wrong. It
Yeah,
went pretty bad.
everything all happening at once. But I'm sorry to
Yeah,
hear about all that, but glad you got through it. You persevered. You're
yeah,
still torn with
yeah.
Ingested. Has
All
there
good.
so maybe that was it, but like yeah, I mean you have to go back to this job. Is there any moment whether it's then anything like that where you're like need do I take a break from music? Do I like need to focus on anything else, or has there been a moment that really like put it in perspective and or made you think about taking a break from music?
Oh yeah, all the time. It's, it's at least once a year I go, is this right? Is there something else we should be doing? There's been a few times when the band nearly didn't make it, and like somehow we came through. I mean, I remember when we were going to do the Ashes Lie Still process. Obviously, COVID was full swing at that point. We parted ways with our founding member Sam, and then our contract had run out with the unit leader, and we were thinking, another label would pick us up. We were pretty sure it was going to happen. It didn't happen, and then we had to kind of think about, oh, are we going to go independent? And I was like, I remember being on the phone call to our old vocalist. He was like, I don't know if I want to do that. I said, I don't know if I would do that either. I don't know if I'll give this job up to take this risk. And then a Metal
Yeah,
Blade knocks on the door and changes perspective. And then we get Unchained Management knocks on the door a few days later. You're like, oh, okay, let's give this
just
another
divine
go. It's
timing.
like, this keeps happening though, man. It's always something else. And it's like, we shouldn't have been a band after 2011. It was like a year and a half of us not doing anything. And I remember forcing to do the EP, Revered by None, Feared by All. And from the back of that, we ended up doing Architect Extinction, got Century Media, got a US booking agent, got a US tour. And then it took us off. It took us to America. It's like, well, if we have that mindset again, oh, I don't think I'll do this anymore, what would we be missing out on? There's always
Yeah,
some small increment that kicks in when you have your biggest doubt. And it's like, I've been
something's just
pushed.
around the corner.
I've been pushed recently with my own family dynamic because I've got twin boys that have got special needs. So me being away from
Mm.
that family dynamic creates a massive pressure on my wife. And obviously
Yeah.
she can't be Wonder Woman 24/7. So she's there's conversations that have to be had, and it's like ultimately, is my time better spent at home? Or do I keep doing this thing? So. But then again, there's another increment that kicks up. And it goes, oh, but this is happening now. And it's just like, okay, let's just see where this goes, man. So, just
Yeah.
balancing it all together, trying to balance all the priorities together can be very tough. But ultimately, this is the career I've chosen. It's a career I'm good at. Um,
Hmm.
I've spent so
Yeah.
many years building it and creating this legacy, if you will. It's like, do I just give this up and then go back to being a mailman again? It's like, fucking hell, like, I don't know, man.
Yeah. But I
I
mean,
don't know.
important conversations to have. How um do you kind of go about like balancing the family dynamic while being on the road or being internationally on tour, everything
I,
like that?
I have to rely on my wife.
Hmm.
100%. She's the glue that holds the household together. If she's having a bad time, everyone else is having a bad time. You know what I mean? It's just the way it is. She's the most important person in the house in many
Yeah.
aspects. She's fortunate enough to let me do this. Obviously, she doesn't always agree with the way things happen, and just certain things have to be changed. But ultimately, she's the rock, man. There's no way I'd be doing this if she one day turns around and says, "I can't physically do this anymore. I've got nothing left to give." That's the end for me. So she's got the shots back there, and ultimately the decisions of how my life and career goes lies in the hands of my wife. So it
Yeah.
is what it
But
is. This is what being a parent and a husband is at this stage. It's just the way it has to be, and so I'll always respect her decisions. And luckily, she's continued to let me do this for how long have I been doing it now full time? I quit my job in 2023, and she let me do this full time for 3 or 4 years at this point. So
yeah.
massive
Uh,
respect to my wife. I wouldn't be here without it.
well, and you have that right mindset of like if she says anything, if anything happens, I'm dropping this and I'm going back. And I mean
Yeah,
it's I mean very different, obviously, and much higher stakes. But it's the same thing I was talking about with like skateboarding and guitar. You know, when you're if you're okay giving something up for something else, then it's clear like where your priorities lie and which one is more important to you.
Yeah,
Um,
for sure.
yeah, if you love live music and going to concerts, you need to get yourself some loop earplugs. I made a video on my second YouTube channel about loop earplugs. I did a review for them by bringing them to a concert, and they were the best earplugs I've ever used. They do a great job at blocking out crowd noise, but still allowing you to hear the music. They come in this tiny, very portable case. You can see it's like a fraction of the size of my hand. Plus, they just look awesome. I got the ones that they did in collaboration with the Tomorrowland Music Festival, and they look awesome. They say live, love, unite on them. You can see they're in a cool circular design, so even when you have them in, you don't just have this big block plugging up your ears. There's a nice ring, makes it look a bit more stylish than normal earplugs. I have the Loop Experience 2s in collaboration with Tomorrowland, and even with the earplugs themselves, they sent me 4 sizes of tips. Extra small, small, large, and medium is already loaded in there. So there's plenty of customization. It should fit your ears no matter what with one of those sizes. Use my referral code in the description to get 15% off your pair of Loop earplugs. Back to the episode. You start Ingested, you've done it for years now, decades at this point. If there's anyone else out there like just starting to learn bass or guitar, wants to form a band, join a band, what kind of advice would you give to them?
Surround yourself with musicians that are capable of the music you want to create, and make sure they're the right people for the job, because nothing's worse than holding on to a drummer who can't do the music you want to do. I mean, we had one that wasn't quite quick enough. We just couldn't get to that level. Then we found another guy. It's just staying with it. It's knowing what's right for the band. It's make the right decisions. Kind of think about what you're doing. Don't do the party element for too long. We were terrible at doing that. We partied too long and kind of like stunted the growth of the band for a while. But you've got to have fun. You know, you don't have to be a robot or a cyborg on here, but get the right people. And it's stubbornness. Just keep at it, because there's going to be a million times when you think, oh, I've got something else to do. You know, this isn't going to work. And so if you persevere and you're good enough and the music's good enough, it will happen for you. I mean, it's happened for us. We've not reached the heights of, I don't know, Metallica, but we've managed to sustain a decent career doing death metal music. So I'm prepared to lose a lot of money, invest a lot of money into it, and lose a lot of money for a very long time, because it takes a long time to get there, bro. Trust me. But if you want it, if you're willing, it'll happen.
Yeah. Well, I mean, success is different to everyone, but I mean, you're actively touring. You just came out with a new album that you guys got in studio for. You're on a record deal. You know, it's everything is built around you guys at this point. So it's good that you stuck with it and built up to this moment.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think you followed that advice well when you like found and Ingested, started getting things going? You mentioned that there was the drummer you held on to for too long, but like in general, if there was anything, any chance for you to like go back and change something about the early days of Ingested, would you change it, or do you think you learned valuable lessons in those moments?
Like I said before, the partying element for us, like, because
Yeah.
for many years, Ingested wasn't full time, so we'd only tour a few times, or maybe once a year, or the odd off shows here and there. And to us, it was, where's the beer? We got beer involved. Sweet, let's do it. It was just all a big party time with the boys, man. Which I wouldn't change them, because I look back and some of those years were the most fun I've ever had in my life with my friends.
Yeah.
And obviously the lineups have changed. I'm not friends with the previous members that much anymore. So there's a real shame in that. But I will never take away the times that we had at the right specific time, where we were just getting hammered and just having a laugh and just doing dumb stuff, man. It was fun as hell, and I'll never take that for granted. But there's definitely certain times we should have put our heads back, screwed back on, and like took it a bit more seriously, because I think we would have got further quicker. I think we would have got better opportunities, because I think there was a little bit of a liability issue with us when we do bigger tours. I'm like, oh, these guys just get drunk all the time and piss about. So I think that did hinder us a bit. But listen, we managed to get through in the end. But yeah, I suppose that would be my one criticism.
Well, and at least you still got some good times out of it, some good memories. You were saying like having a bunch of fun. So it's, there is to some degree a like work-life balance that you need, or like a fun to work balance.
Yeah.
And so I'm glad, it may have taken a bit longer, but you still did reach higher levels and climb. And so, uh, if there's someone listening to this who wants to get into Ingested, is like, all right, I'm ready to take the dive into this band. Is there anything? Maybe it's just the new album, Denigration, but is there something you would recommend as like a first listen or an introduction to Ingested?
I think the three most important albums to get the best of what we are, what we've done over the years, is probably our debut albums, The Past and the Bounds of Human Suffering. Our most sort of complete death metal sounding record was probably When It Goes May Tread, and that kind of gives you the best of everything we've kind of done. And then I think Denigration stands out as well. Obviously it's new music, but it's a newfound form of brutality again. I think those are three important records. And there's good stuff in between all those. You're
Yeah,
going to hear
yeah.
different dynamics, different influences over the career. If you've got the time, I'd just take a deep dive and start from the beginning and see how you feel. I'm sure there's something in there for everyone. But I mean, if someone's never heard of us and they're checking out this interview for the first time, appreciate it. Check us out on Spotify. Buy some merchandise. Ingested.co.uk. All the links are there for different territories,
Get the
etc.
pink
So
vinyl
yeah,
from
man,
Sean.
get the pink vinyl from me. But you have to wait
Yeah.
until I get home because the store's shut until I'm home. But I'll open it back up in the next few weeks.
Yeah, yeah, that's all right. I mean, you're doing that between the two tours? Because I know you're basically wrapping up this one or have like two, three more shows here. So it's just once you get back from this tour. Yeah, so that'll be soon.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I know it's hard to pick, so feel free to have a bunch of answers, no answer, but is there an Ingested song that's your favorite, like Ingested song?
Jesus.
And no pressure to have anything. I know it's tough to pick.
When I mentioned one before, that 9 minute closer to Where It Goes By Tread,
Hmm.
that's probably the most proud thing I've ever wrote. It might not be I would never play it live because it sucked to play live, not fun at all. But it's definitely a piece of music I'm very proud of. So I'll probably say Leap of the Faithless on a selfish position.
Yeah.
I'm really enjoying playing Merciless Reflection. It's a new
Yeah.
slammier one. That just feels so good to play live. I think a staple in the set is Invidious. Check Invidious out. That's a good one. And Impending Dominance from Where It Goes By Tread. So yeah, there's a few. There's a bunch in there.
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. For a couple more a couple quick questions to wrap up. Sorry, a little
Yeah.
bit of a brain fart there. If you could if you got the chance to make a song with any artist, any band in the world, who would you want Ingested to make a song with?
Well, I'm gonna go for the obvious one that's gonna pick up the profile of the band. So I don't know, Tom Araya, Philip
Awesome.
Anselmo. I don't know, Randy
Yeah.
Blythe, Corey Taylor. Give me someone massive like Nurgle. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, that'd be awesome. I would love to hear a Phil Anselmo and Ingested record. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then for on like a lyrics or just any kind of music thing, or just being around this music so long, being a founding member of the band, is there one song that like had meaning to you when you made it, and now it's like taken on new meaning, been attached to new memories, anything like that? It's fine if
Uh,
not.
no, I mean, listen, there's certain things I've wrote about over the years that meant something at the time, and then obviously have come true or whatever. But I think the
Mhm.
most powerful cathartic writing experience was the title track for Ashes Lie Still. That was based around my father and around the COVID thing. Like my dad
Mhm.
passed away literally as I was on tour. The next day, the world shut down. It was like such a crazy thing. And the meaning behind Ashes Lie Still is the fact that all the funerals and like the regular thing you do was so like guarded. Like I couldn't carry his coffin. I could go anywhere near each other. There was no
Wow.
wake. So the kind of idea behind Ashes Lie Still is like my dad was frozen in time at that point, and I only remember him in that moment. And as more on the nose, the term "ashes lie still" is like couldn't do anything with his ashes. His ashes are still at my
Wow.
house because I didn't know what to do with them. I couldn't really do anything with them, and it was just such a weird process. So yeah, ashes lie still means the most to me, and I'm sure people must have read that and got their own thing from it. But I suppose that's the most important song lyrically, because obviously I don't write the lyrics all the time, but I wrote those lyrics for that one specifically. So yeah, that one means the most to me, and it just serves as a certain thing. And yeah, I mean, even one
Yeah,
without lyrics on the album after that, Tide of Death and Factory Dreams, there's an instrumental called Numinous, and it was kind of wrote as a tribute to my dad. You know, it's very melancholic, and it's like a moment for me, and you know, kind of playing that kind of stuff. So yeah, unfortunately,
it's a more.
those important ones are a bit more deeper than they should be, but that's life sometimes, you
I
know.
mean, but it makes sense, and it's deep, and it's you expressing those emotions through music, kind of coping it with it. I think it's beautiful that you're doing that and kind of have it in these two worlds, the lyrical version of like what it meant to you and dealing with it that way, and then this more cinematic instrumental one that's just like you're really letting the music hit you and give you all the emotions in that way. But
Yeah.
yeah. So no shame in having meaning onto lyrics or like having some writing songs about your dad. But yeah, thank you,
Yeah,
Sean, so much for coming on. Those are all the questions I had. So thank you. I really appreciate it. I loved hearing the album Denigration, and I hope you
appreciate
have
it,
a
man. Thank you.
great time on this upcoming Canada tour.
Me too, man. Thanks for your time. Appreciate it.